Different milestone to talk about. 2 months from today will mark 20 years since then President George W. Bush signed the Real ID Act into law. And after many delays, the deadline to get one is now just weeks away. So starting May 7th, you have to have this Real ID to fly domestically unless you have a valid passport. But as we all know by now, getting an ID of any kind is really not that simple.
Yeah, so we're checking out some of the biggest questions if you can't get yours in time. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
With the DMV delays and trouble getting in for an appointment, many people are wondering what will happen if they don't get a Real ID in time. So let's verify.
Our sources, the Department of Homeland Security, TSA, and the North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles. So let's take a look at our first question. Do you need a Real ID in order to fly? According to the Department of Homeland Security, travelers using a license to fly must present a Real ID by May 7th, or they will not be allowed through security. However, according to the TSA, a passport, photo ID issued by a federal organization, permanent resident card, U.S. Department of Defense ID will work. We have other acceptable forms of ID on our mobile app. The next question, if you get pulled over and don't have a Real ID and only a regular driver's license, will you get a ticket? In an email, the DMV told us Real IDs are for federal purposes only, like flying or visiting a federal, military, or nuclear facility. So you don't need a Real ID just to drive. And finally, do you still need a passport if you have a Real ID and are traveling internationally? According to Homeland Security, if you are traveling internationally, you will still need your passport. This includes both flying and sailing on cruises. If you are traveling domestically, you will only need one of those documents. So we can verify that, yes, you need your passport if you are traveling internationally. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.